our department started to look a little more closely about merging all of the liaison units together. At that time, we had 4 liaison units: the Gay and Lesbian Liaison Unit, the Asian Liaison Unit, the Latino Liaison Unit, and the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Liaison Unit. In 2007, our chief at that time, Chief Kathy Lanier, came to me and said that she had an idea of bringing them all together under one command, and she tapped me to take that responsibility on. I think the impact, hopefully, has been that we've made policing more accessible and law enforcement more accessible to people who have traditionally not had access to law enforcement, or at least had troubled access to law enforcement.
Sophisticated Ladies is a group that I founded where I was able to work with young girls in DC public schools at that time over several years, particularly in PR Harris, which is was an educational center in Southeast DC. Working with young ladies, 12 through 14, 15, the challenges that they were facing with adolescence, just helping them to find themselves, groom themselves, love themselves. Currently, I enjoy gardening with young people. I do that primarily with middle school and elementary students. Gardening, I'm able to teach them values. We do everything from learning gardening tools to gardening basics. I build in nutrition. We do things from seed, and then we always contribute by doing a beautification for the school itself.
So I became the chair of the political action candidate election, wherein that committee provides support, financial support, to candidates who are running for political offices, like city council people and the mayor. I believe then social workers will be seen in a more positive light. It will encourage social workers themselves to do more for the community, for the clients that they provide services to.
The shootings were back and forth, and there was just so much going on, and everything was in this particular Columbia Heights neighborhood. So my commander at the time was Assistant Chief Anzalo, and he asked me, to do something about it. Is there anything that you can do to help this? What I did, I tried to look at it in a different way. So I went to the kids in this particular neighborhood, the Boys and Girls Club. I just went to them and asked them, what is it I can do for you all to keep you safe? What is it I can do for you all not to be involved in these shootings? I mean, what is it I can do? So one of the young men said, we want a band. So once everything was assembled, I ended up spending like around $14,000 on this studio for these kids, but it was something that made me feel good because it kept them out of trouble. Everything they did was for their deceased friend. And one of the first things they wanted to do was they wanted to buy their friend a headstone. So they said, we need to make some money so we could buy him a headstone. So I said, well, let's start having go-go's. So we started having go-go's, and they perform. People would pay to come in, and they ended up raising over $2,200. They gave it to their friend's mother, and now he has a headstone.
We developed a lot of expertise. Fortunately, I had a little bit when I came in and started this job, but EPA didn't have the munitions experience at the time we started Spring Valley, and the Army had munitions experience. They didn't have World War I experience because all those veterans had long since left. We wrote this book to show state regulators an idea of how to clean up an explosive ordnance or a chemical weapons site. And it's been pretty successful. It's sold in 17 countries. It made the bestseller list for science books this past year.
The impact that we've had is that I have approved projects through every single ward. And currently the projects involving youth, urban gardening, vegetable gardening has become very popular. So it's the education of horticulture and nutrition combined that is probably one of the standouts.
I don't look at making long-term differences. I see my job as a police officer in making an immediate difference in somebody's life. And Through my work with the liaison units, I've literally come in contact with thousands of people, and then indirectly through my work teaching throughout the world, probably hundreds of thousands of people. I may not be able to tell someone, listen, I'm going to change your life forever. Your life will never be the same again. But what I can say is I'm going to change your life now.
Just working with young people. I'm very pleased to do that. I just recently celebrated 20 years with the department, and most of that time I've worked with young people, especially if you've had a kid since, they were, 7 or 8 years old, and they're now 20, and you see them with their children, and they remember you and the impact that you've had on their lives. That's a winner.
I see myself as a helper and a doer. I extend myself while I was working. I usually visited families who were in a crisis, who needed moral and also financial support.
I guess I'm most proud of the fact that we try very diligently to find these shells and things before the rest of the kids find them.
Probably that I was born here in Washington, D.C. at George Washington University Hospital, and that my father was a professor in the medical school at GW, and that I'm able personally and professionally to give back to the city that I was born and raised in.
Well, I think there's a real huge benefit to something like the Cafritz Award, and that is that it really brings to light for those people who take for granted government work how important the work is, but most importantly that there are people within government that do go above and beyond. I actually get a lot of energy out of hearing these stories, to look around and to see the incredible work that's being done by other government workers just like me, and hearing about different agencies that some of them I've never even heard of before.
I think it has had a tremendous impact on the individual who have won. I know I took part of my funds that I had won and helped my program.
We have so many people on our job that do community work, that do things beyond arresting people. Mm-hmm. It's just that the community really don't know about a lot of it.
It's amazing of the DC government employees that I've met that I'm so proud of to meet, and especially at the award ceremony, and to realize that there are different facets of this government, different efforts taking place that one would never really know of.